With the developer livestream that just ended, we wanted to get a better understanding of the impact of all the different changes, right? Because some of it is things that are very easy to understand. You can mathematically apply, the equations from and see like, this is how much attack power we're going to have. The one that I want to touch on right now is two very specific changes that both impact the overall gameplay loop that we currently experience in the game. That is, the changes to how lower quality items will now be dropping as materials, as opposed to dropping as items that we can either choose to sell or salvage or just try to kick out of our inventory, as well as gems no longer being items, but instead dropping as materials, which will then just go into our materials tab as opposed to our inventory. So we just got done running a random tier 6 Gowron's Hold Nightmare dungeon, and I picked up every single item that dropped in the dungeon. Now, the one part, and I just want to acknowledge it very quickly, is that in Season 2, just like in Season 1 right now, there are going to be seasonal items. So there may be a reality where the seasonal items from Season 2 wouldn't fill up your inventory in any way, shape, or form. Right? These things might not be here, so this may be inappropriately representing all the items that you want to pick up, but I thought it was very funny as we were getting our way through the dungeon. I haven't gone back to town, I haven't sold anything. I picked up every single item, and right when we got to the end of the dungeon, killed the last boss, I was able to pick up every single thing that dropped, except for the Ancestral legendary item that the boss itself dropped for us as our reward. So I just thought that was very fitting. Literally a single item was left out, but I wanted to talk about one of the changes, just in case you didn't see them originally, and two, remember this little picture right here, create a photograph in your brain. These are all the items that I picked up, and then I'm going to show you what our inventory looks like when we no longer have to pick up these items. So the first change, and this is probably the largest impact out of the two changes that we're going to touch on, is under the item adjustments. So first and foremost, there was an overabundance of inventories and causing unnecessary trips to town. When you're in World Tier 3, now this is just across the board, once you walk into World Tier 3, all normal quality items, magic quality items, and then non-sacred rare items are no longer going to drop in the world at all. You're not going to be on the ground, you're not going to have to click around them. If you're like me and you play on controller or console, they're not going to be in a list order of items that you would have to pick up every single one of them and then go into your inventory and then drop the ones that you didn't want to carry with you. You just won't see them anymore. The only things that you will see are sacred rare items, any form of legendary item, and any form of unique item. So you'll still be able to find random legendaries even if they're lower power, because remember that we still want to be able to get those aspects either to extract them or just to use them on our kit. And then of course, unique items not only are just unique items something that you may need for your build, but the more important thing is that unique items are actually an incredible source of gold. They sell for a ton of gold in general. Similar to how legendary items sell for more than rare items, unique items sell for even more. Walking into World Tier 4, the same thing happens here, but it's going to bump up to Ancestral. That means that normal, magic, sacred, and non-ancestral rare items are no longer going to show up. The only items that you will be picking up are ancestral rare items, legendary items, and unique items. Now, you will find sacred legendary items, but that sacred quality to it really does not impact the aspects in any legitimate way that you really care about. The aspect is still just as good, regardless of whether or not it came off of a sacred item. And then obviously unique items, which again, you may not personally care about a sacred unique item, but first and foremost, again, they're worth a ton of gold. And two, you may need that special ability to unlock something for your build. You may need a Ring of Mendeln and be perfectly fine with it being sacred if that was something that could happen in the game. And they're now all going to drop as crafting materials. So theoretically, once you're in World Tier 4, you're effectively never going to have to salvage again, because you're going to get the materials from all of your normal and magic items. A ton of rare items are also now just going to turn into materials. You are basically never going to have to salvage, meaning that every single time that you would go into town and maybe you sell some of the items and then salvage some of the items, that is basically automated for us now going forward. Once you're in World Tier 4, you're probably never going to click that salvage button ever again, unless you're salvaging a piece of gear that you've upgraded and put stuff into to get back a lot of those additional costs, etc. The second change, which is still a pretty big change, is that gems are no longer going to drop as physical items. They're going to drop as a crafting material, and then you're going to be able to go to the jeweler to craft a gem so that you can then have that. And I assume you're also going to be able to salvage gems when you're done with them, but you're never going to have to pick up another gem. It's not going to be on the ground interrupting your ability to pick up other items. And again, since they're just dropping as materials, you're just going to run by them, completely completely mitigating this need to either like go back to town, say you're looking to save up a bunch of gems and you're like, oh, I need this one or this one, without knowing exactly what the system's going to look like. Maybe they just drop as generic gem materials and then you can go craft whatever you want, which is what I hope it will look like. Or it might be that it's per gem type and you have to pick up different materials per gem type, which would be a bit more of like an annoying system to interact with. But regardless, you don't have to pick them up anymore. So with those two changes in mind, what is the legitimate impact? How much of my inventory space am I actually freeing up with these changes? Well, let's go ahead and look at our inventory and I'll get rid of everything that we weren't going to pick up or we're no longer going to need to pick up. And then let's go ahead and look at what's left over at that point. So again, this is our current inventory missing the one single ancestral legendary item that we didn't pick up. I will obviously go pick that up, but let me use the power of editing to show you what our inventory looks like now. And just like that, bada bing, bada boom, damn, we're good at production value here. No, but sincerely, after doing that, after taking out every single sacred item, every magic item, every gem, all things which will now just be materials on the ground, we have freed up 33% of our inventory. A full entire row of inventory space is now available. That means that in dungeons with higher density, we'd be picking up more items than the ones that you even picked up here. You're theoretically saving yourself an entire town trip, or at the very least, just enjoying the benefits from not having to, again, go salvage at any point once you're in World Tier 4, because every single item is already going to be materials for you. And just for the people who wanted to see what it looks like on the ground with all this crap that we used to have to pick up, just to be able to sort through it. Again, on controller, there's no way to like pick individual items. You just have to pick it up from the list and then come back in here and drop them. Let's go look at that giant pile of garbage. Here we go. Look at this absolutely ridiculous pile of complete garbage that I no longer have to click on. And it actually goes even a little bit further. Now this one is just me trying to like really amp up the value of this, but you'll notice that 3 of my different gems actually dropped multiples of those gems. They were actually stacks of gems. And while in our inventory space, that's only 1 item, that does mean that I had to pick up 3 sapphires before I could pick up other stuff, 2 flawless skulls before I could pick up other stuff, and 2 flawless emeralds before I could pick up other stuff. It means that I just had to click 4 more times to be able to pick up all of the items on the ground, which I no longer need to do. And my old millennial wrists and fingers really appreciate that. And hopefully this will help me stave off the worst of the carpal tunnel, which I've definitely already developed. But there you go. Here's just like a quick and dirty understanding of just like how much more efficient we will become. Now, I did want to touch on one last thing, because you might notice I now don't have all of that stuff. Meaning that I'm either going to have to like go craft gems, or I won't be able to sell some of this stuff because I'm not going to be picking it up. It's auto salvaged for me. They're taking away that ability of our willingness to pick up stuff and then go sell it. But luckily it looks like they're also changing the gold rates in the game. So not only are whispers, which they're touting as like the gold farming strategy, now they're saying that the Tree of Whispers is going to be the best place to go target farm gold. They also said that they're just increasing gold drops across the board. So literally as you're going through a dungeon and killing monsters, the gold that they're going to drop is just going to be more of it. Add on top of that they're also reducing the enchanting costs across the board, meaning that you're going to be able to re-roll for cheaper for longer than we do previously. What it basically means is that they've effectively automated our material gain portion of the game. They've drastically decreased the stranglehold that gold has on any one individual player's enjoyment of the game, or just ability to just go play and get the loot without necessarily having to play this little mini game of do I have enough gold. But again, just on top of that, your inventory is going to be less cluttered. You're literally going to be seeing less garbage on the ground. And while we're not moving towards having an item filtering system right away, they have heavily hinted that they're proactively working on this in the last dev stream. While this is just one of the symptoms of not having an item filtering system, I'm not going to try to pretend like this fixes it right away. What it does mean is that every single item that you're looking at on the ground is probably just going to be of higher quality than it was previously. You know that if you're seeing it, it's something worth picking up. And while that's not actually an item filtering system, it helps to alleviate some of the symptoms of not having an item filter system currently in the game. So I just wanted to show this off. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that it helped to contextualize the changes that are coming in Season 2. Sound off below if you think that this is enough, that you think this is a good change. Do you see any potential issues with this that weren't brought up previously? Or you just think, hey, somebody's overlooking this. What about XYZ scenario? I'd love to hear you down below. But again, thank you so much for watching. I truly hope that it helps. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.